Imagine watching a true master at work. Let's say it's a concert pianist, right? Their fingers are just a blur across the keys.
Oh, yeah, or a top-tier coder.
Exactly. A coder who looks at the architecture of this massive application and just they see it like it's the Matrix.
It's incredible to watch.
It is. And when you watch that, there is this undeniable illusion of magic. I mean, it really feels like they were simply born with a different kind of brain.
Right, like some superpower the rest of us just didn't get in the genetic lottery.
Yeah, exactly. But, it is a very comforting myth, isn't it?
Oh, it absolutely is.
Yeah.
We cling to that idea of the innate genius because, well, if their ability is just magic or destiny, it completely absolves us.
We don't have to feel bad about our own lack of mastery.
Exactly. Because, hey, the game was rigged from birth. Right.
Right. But today, we are going to completely ruin that magic trick for you.
Glad.
Because when you actually look under the hood of human high performance, we aren't looking at destiny. We are looking at a biological reality that is, frankly, far less glamorous.
And significantly more grueling. I mean, we are talking about literal neurological rewiring.
Yeah.
Mastery isn't a personality trait. It is a deliberate, systematic, physical change in the structure of the human brain, built over thousands of hours.
So welcome to the deep dive. For you, the learner listening right now, consider this a deeply strategic masterclass. We are synthesizing Robert Greene's seminal book, Mastery.
Such an incredible piece of work.
It really is. And we're cross-referencing his historical research with, modern creator interviews, critical reviews, and real-world tech applications.
Because our mission today is to hand you a complete step-by-step roadmap to becoming world-class at a complex skill.
And I think we should establish the stakes of this conversation immediately.
Yeah, let's do that. Because the stakes are literally the trajectory of your entire career.
No pressure, right?
Right. But I mean, look at the current state of our economy. The future disproportionately belongs to those who can acquire complex skills and ruthlessly discipline their minds.
The Great Divide.
Exactly. The great divide of the coming decades will be between those highly focused individuals and those who are just irrevocably distracted by modern media.
Jumping from trend to trend.
Yeah, unable to focus deeply enough to truly learn anything of substance.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because before we can even talk about, rewiring the brain, we have to figure out what we are wiring it for.
That is the crucial first step.
Because you could spend a decade getting incredibly good at something you absolutely hate. Greene argues the journey has to begin inward, right? With discovering what he calls your life's task.
Yeah. The psychology here is foundational. Greene posits that you possess this primal force.
A deep inner inclination.
Right. And it was likely very evident when you were a child. You're naturally gravitated towards certain activities. Maybe it was dismantling radios or drawing or organizing groups of kids.
But then we grow up.
Right. As we age into adulthood, that clear signal gets jammed. Parents, peers, societal expectations, they all start telling us what is practical or safe or prestigious.
So the average person gets pushed into what Greene calls the false self.
Exactly. They chase a paycheck or a fancy job title or parental approval.
But the masters manage to execute a reversal. They pursue work that resonates deeply with that original primal curiosity.
And the mechanism behind why this matters is just critical.
Because of the hours required, right?
Yes.
Go.
We're talking about needing 20,000 hours of practice to achieve mastery. If you are grinding away for a paycheck, 20,000 hours is a prison sentence.
Oh, you will absolutely quit.
You will. But if you are aligned with your true self, those same hours feel like an endless exploration.
Take Charles Darwin as a historical model for this.
Oh, perfect example.
His father expected him to follow this highly secure, respectable, and entirely mapped out profession as a cleric in the church.
Which he obviously didn't do.
Right, because Darwin harbored this almost obsessive fascination with nature and biology. So he eventually pivoted away from that safe path.
Taking a massive physical and social risk.
Yeah, to sail on the HMS Beagle, he wasn't aiming for a career. He was submitting to his inclination.
And the hidden lesson there is that ignoring societal expectations to follow an innate interest is often the most pragmatic, strategic career move you can actually make.
Let's ground that in the modern world, though, because, you don't necessarily have to board a wooden ship for 5 years to escape your false self.
Thankfully, no.
So how does someone listening to this apply that concept today, in the age of tech, startups, and hyper-competitive corporate ladders?
Well, we can look at two specific strategies Greene outlines. First is the Darwinian strategy.
Okay, how does that work?
You start in a broad, established field. Let's say you enter software engineering, but instead of just climbing the standard ranks, you look for side paths and obscure niches.
Like finding a gap in the market.
Exactly. Maybe you notice a gap in how AI agents are used in global logistics. So you move into that highly specific ecology and completely dominate it.
So you aren't fighting 1,000 other people for the same generic promotion. You're basically creating a category of one,
Precisely. And the second modern application is the adaptation strategy.
which is about loyalty, right?
Yes, your ultimate loyalty must be to your life's task, not to a specific company, and certainly not to your past sunk costs.
Oh, that's huge.
It is. If the industry shifts, or if you feel your curiosity moving toward a new medium, you pivot. You use your past skills as leverage, but you never let them anchor you.
It sounds a lot like a GPS recalibrating.
That's a great way to put it.
The path to mastery is almost never a straight corporate ladder anymore. You are constantly course correcting toward your true north, picking up whatever new tools or code languages or industries emerge along the way.
Absolutely.
So let's assume the listener has found that true north. They know their direction. Now they hit the absolute hardest part of the journey execution.
The phase Green calls the apprenticeship.
Right. And this is where the romance of following your passion abruptly ends.
Yeah, and the grueling reality begins. The apprenticeship phase is not about making money, and it is certainly not about gaining a title.
So what is it about?
It is purely an incubator for transforming your mind and character, and it requires 3 distinct steps.
Let's break those down because the first step is completely counterintuitive to modern hustle culture. It's deep observation.
Which is entirely passive.
Yeah, which is so hard for people.
It is. When you enter a new environment, the natural human urge is to immediately speak up, impress the boss, prove your worth.
Right, look at me, look how smart I am.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you must suppress that. You have to revert to a feeling of inferiority. You
Wow.
quietly observe the unwritten rules, the power dynamics, who actually holds influence.
You are gathering data, not seeking attention,
Yes.
which requires a massive death of the ego.
Oh, absolutely.
So once you've mapped the terrain, then you move to the second step, skill acquisition. This is the practice mode.
And the primary rule here is brutal. Focus on one foundational skill at a time.
I mean, trying to learn video editing, copywriting, and coding all in the same month will just completely flatline your progress,
You have to embrace the tedium of single tasking.
which is painful.
But the pain and boredom of that tedium are actually the point. They toughen the mind. You undergo what Green calls resistance practice.
Going against what feels easy.
Exactly. You go against your natural tendency to do what feels fun. Instead, you become your own worst critic, deliberately tackling the specific micro-skills you are worst at.
Let me challenge the mechanics of this grinding phase for a second. We've all heard Malcolm Gladwell's famous 10,000-hour rule, and Green seemingly doubles it, citing 20,000 hours for true mastery.
He does.
Does this mean a learner is supposed to just put their head down and blindly clock hours like a machine? Is it purely a volume game?
Not at all. It is a very common misconception that time alone creates mastery. It is actually about the density and the environment of your practice.
Okay, explain density.
In the source material, we see a brilliant analogy from Graham Mann about surfing. He notes that you could spend years dabbling in surfing in Nova Scotia.
Going out a few times a month, fighting bad weather, learning sporadically.
Right. And after 5 years, you might barely be competent.
Because the reps are too spread out?
Yes. Conversely, you could fly to El Salvador, immerse yourself completely, and surf every single morning for 3 straight weeks.
Oh, wow.
The intense density of that immersion will level up your skills faster than years of casual dabbling. Gladwell himself pointed this out with the Beatles.
Oh, right, the Hamburg clubs.
Exactly. They didn't just casually practice in a garage. They were forced to play live 8 hours a night in the chaotic clubs of Hamburg.
We see that density today with creators, too. Look at Nat Eliason, who decided to build a business around AI agents.
A perfect modern example.
He didn't read one article a week for a year.
No.
He fully immersed himself, essentially locking himself away for months to build and break things daily.
And that density is what accelerates the physical rewiring of the brain we mentioned earlier.
Neurological rewiring is like carving a path through a dense jungle. If you walk it once a month, the vines grow back.
But if you walk it 10 times a day, you quickly pave a superhighway.
Yeah. That is the essence of the third step of apprenticeship experimentation.
Yes. Once you have built that superhighway of basic skills, you transition from passively following the rules to actively testing and breaking them.
But even with intense density, clocking 10,000 to 20,000 hours means you are staring down a decade of work.
It's a long road.
Is there a structural hack to speed up that timeline so the learner doesn't burn out halfway through the jungle?
The ultimate accelerator is mentorship.
The mentor dynamic. You are essentially absorbing the master's power.
Think of it as downloading an entirely upgraded operating system.
I love that.
A true mentor provides a fast track, not because they hand you technical manuals, but because they transfer their highly evolved way of thinking.
You are absorbing a mental framework that took them decades of trial and error to build.
And you get to internalize it in a fraction of the time. Plus, they provide immediate, realistic feedback that stops you from wandering down dead ends.
Now, to be fair to the broader conversation around skill acquisition, we should address the criticism of this model.
Right, the counterargument.
In our sources, Ian Chadwick wrote a fairly scathing review of Green's heavy reliance on mentors and destiny.
He brings up some interesting points.
He points out that Charles Darwin spent his 5 years on the Beagle essentially isolated, figuring out his theories through raw, solo observation.
True.
Furthermore, Mozart was composing complex pieces at age 5, long before he had time for a traditional decades-long apprenticeship. Chadwick argues that innate talent and solo grinding play a vastly bigger role than this framework admits.
And Chadwick makes a highly valid point. Innate talent absolutely exists, and solo discovery is historically possible. You can hack your way through the jungle entirely alone.
But it's harder.
Much harder. From a strategic standpoint, a mentor drastically reduces the friction of the learning curve. You might not possess Mozart's freakish innate genius, but a mentor ensures you maximize every ounce of potential you do possess.
Minimizing the wasted years.
Exactly.
And there is an advanced strategic move here. The goal of mentorship isn't to become a subservient clone of the person teaching you.
No, not at all.
The directive is to transfigure their ideas. You absorb their deep knowledge, but then you mix it with your own primal inclinations. You alter the knowledge to fit your era.
Leonardo da Vinci famously said, "Poor is the apprentice who does not surpass his master."
Yeah, you are using their brain as a stepping stone to eventually find your own voice.
But here's the most dangerous trap on the entire roadmap. You can execute the perfect 20,000 hours. You can find the perfect mentor, and your journey will still end in catastrophic failure if you lack social intelligence.
Oh man, the human element.
Yes.
You can be the most brilliant machine learning engineer on the planet, but if you cannot navigate the people around you, your career is toast.
Green specifically references Gladwell's study of exceptionally high IQ individuals, literal geniuses who ended up completely failing in life.
Because of people skills.
Yes. Their raw intellect couldn't compensate for the immense social friction they generated.
The psychology of why we fail socially is fascinating, because as humans, our default setting is to project our own emotional needs, insecurities, and values onto other people.
We constantly misread their intentions because we are looking through the distorted lens of our own ego.
So social intelligence requires systematically stripping that lens away and seeing people with cold realism.
Green outlines these hidden pitfalls as the 7 deadly realities of human nature.
We won't list them all, but things like envy, conformism, and passive aggression are universal.
Every office, startup, and family has them.
Yeah. If you come into a new job as an apprentice and try to show off how brilliant you are on day one, you immediately trigger the reality of envy in your superiors.
Or, if you expect a randomly assigned team to be as passionately motivated as you are about your life's task, you will hit the brick wall of their laziness or flightiness.
And you will end up bitter.
And that bitterness is fatal to mastery. Navigating endless interpersonal drama drains the exact mental energy you desperately need to focus on your craft.
Here's where it gets really interesting. The specific daily system Green suggests for handling this friction. He says you must learn to suffer fools gladly.
Which, sounds incredibly cynical on the surface.
Right.
But mechanically, it is a brilliant energy-saving tactic.
So tell me how that actually works on a Tuesday afternoon when a coworker takes credit for your project.
It works through emotional detachment. Green suggests treating foolish or toxic behavior in others the same way you would treat a rock or a piece of furniture in your path.
Just an inevitable, neutral part of a landscape.
Exactly. If you are walking down the street and a boulder is in your way, you don't scream at the boulder for being unfair.
You simply walk around it.
You conserve your energy.
You don't waste hours agonizing over how to change a passive-aggressive colleague. You accept their nature, step around them, and let the sheer, undeniable quality of your work speak for itself.
You build a fortress of competence that office politics can't penetrate.
I love that. A fortress of competence. And that emotional detachment frees up your cognitive bandwidth to enter the next major evolution.
The creative active phase.
Yes. This is where you awaken what Green calls the dimensional mind. So, the apprentice has mastered the foundational rules, they've survived the office politics, and now they have to completely shift gears from replicating the rules to breaking them.
Because this is the plateau where average people stop.
They get comfortable.
Right. They secure a good salary, they gain a bit of status, and they become intensely conservative. They fear failure, so they just repeat the formulas that got them the job.
But masters lean into the opposite.
Green calls it the evolutionary hijack, which simply means maintaining supreme adaptability.
They actively broaden their horizons, pulling from adjacent fields to see reality in its full, messy complexity.
The mechanics of how this works historically are amazing. Look at Albert Einstein wrestling with the theory of general relativity.
He spent a decade in a state of intense conscious tension, trying to force the math to work.
Right. But the actual breakthrough didn't come while he was staring at a chalkboard.
It came to him in his sleep.
Exactly. It's the required biological balance of intense, focused frustration, followed by entirely letting go. You have to give the unconscious mind the space to connect the dots you've been obsessing over.
We see that exact same need for fluid adaptability in modern business, too.
Absolutely.
Paul Graham, the founder of Y Combinator, noted that the most successful startup founders are rarely the ones who stubbornly stick to their perfect initial idea.
The winners possess the fluidity to completely change the idea when market reality pushes back.
Or consider Rob Pike's famous rules of programming from 1989. Rule 5 states, data dominates.
Such a powerful concept.
It really is. That isn't just a coding tip. It is an enduring foundational truth that allows developers today to build highly creative, complex AI models. They can innovate endlessly because they rely on a stable, proven base.
For the listener sitting at their desk right now, how do they actually cultivate this dimensional mind?
Well, the sources point to 2 actionable habits. First is practicing negative capability.
Which sounds like academic jargon.
It does, but mechanically it means building the tolerance to just sit with uncertainty. When you face a complex problem, resist the urge to grab the easiest, most conventional answer just to relieve the tension.
Stare at the blank screen.
Exactly. Hold the contradiction in your mind without running to your phone for a dopamine hit.
And the second habit is alchemical creativity.
Right. Which is the deliberate act of delving into the unconscious to reconcile disparate ideas.
But sorry, let me rephrase that. How does one actually perform alchemy in a modern job?
By hunting for anomalies. You look at 2 things in your industry that shouldn't go together. Perhaps a 100-year-old logistics model and a brand new neural network.
And you force your brain to build a bridge between them.
Yeah. You look for the data points that everyone else dismisses because they don't fit the established paradigm.
Because the breakthrough is almost always hiding in the anomaly.
And when you compound that disciplined alchemical creativity over 10 or 20 years, you finally cross the threshold into the ultimate stage mastery.
You fuse the intuitive with the rational.
This is the peak state, the fingertip feel.
What's fascinating here is the sheer biological power of this stage. Through decades of intense immersion, your brain has assimilated so much complex information that the skill is literally hardwired into your nervous system.
Remember that jungle path we talked about?
It is now an 8-lane superhighway.
You no longer consciously think about the individual microsteps. You possess a form of intelligence that mimics the instinctual split-second power of wild animals.
But you achieved it through conscious human study.
Right. You can anticipate trends and make swift, accurate decisions because your brain is subconsciously processing millions of subtle signals.
To reach that state, we have to look at how Green categorizes time in his Farnham Street interview.
Oh, this is crucial.
He divides her days into alive time and dead time.
Dead time is the default mode, right?
Yes, it's when you are on autopilot, passively consuming distractions, reacting to emails, and just waiting for the day to end.
Whereas alive time is active learning.
It is a deliberate choice to be fully present with the friction of your craft.
To sustain that alive time, you need physical systems to build your memory capacity. You are trying to synthesize knowledge across multiple fields to become a modern universal man or woman.
And Green himself uses a highly tactile system to achieve this. He takes notes longhand on physical index cards.
The mechanics of that are so important. The physical act of writing with a pen slows the brain down.
Right. It forces him to deeply internalize and summarize the information rather than just mindlessly highlighting a PDF or copy and pasting text into a digital folder.
He is building that fingertip feel through physical action.
It's the transition from the micro to the macro. You internalize the tiny details so completely that you are suddenly freed up to widen your vision and see the global perspective of your entire industry.
Let's synthesize this entire mastery framework for the listener.
Good idea.
We've covered the complete roadmap. You start by looking inward, bypassing societal pressure to discover your unique life's task.
You then submit to the grueling reality of the apprenticeship, focusing on deep observation and density of practice.
You ideally find a mentor to transfer their mental operating system and hack the timeline.
You cultivate cold social intelligence to bypass office politics and human drama.
You awaken your dimensional mind by sitting with uncertainty and forcing new connections.
And finally, through decades of a lifetime, you wire the superhighway to achieve the intuitive fingertip feel.
It is a phenomenal, highly pragmatic blueprint for high performance.
It really is.
So, what does this all mean for you, the listener, today? We promised a complete picture, and that requires holding two opposing thoughts at once.
Right.
On one hand, you have critics like Ian Chadwick who argue that relying on destiny is unscientific and that innate genetic talent plays a massive role.
He makes a fair point. I mean, you might never be the next Mozart. Some biological limits are real.
However, the core thesis of Green's work remains incredibly empowering. It permanently strips away the excuse of magic.
Yes, extraordinary results do not require innate genius. They require the endurance to survive the 20,000 hours of resistance practice.
You have absolute agency over your mastery roadmap. You control the density of your practice.
You control your emotional detachment from office politics.
And you control your ability to endure the tedium. You are building the machine piece by piece, neuron by neuron.
Which brings us to a final provocative thought for you to take away.
Open up your calendar for the coming week. Look honestly at the blocks of time.
Are you trapped in dead time, passively scrolling, answering low-priority messages, and dabbling in 5 different hobbies at once?
Or are you ruthlessly structuring your environment for weeks of intense, a lifetime immersion toward your singular life's task?
It is the ultimate difference between hoping for a miracle and actively doing the neurological rewiring.
Remember how we started today? Talking about the awe you feel when watching a master.
The blinding speed, the grace, the intuition.
It isn't magic. It's the 20,000 invisible hours of frustration, ego death, and alchemical creativity that happened in a quiet room when nobody was watching.
The magic is just what the rest of us get to see when the rewiring is finally complete.